don't happen to keep money in an account. They don't keep 400 bucks in an account. Maybe they are living paycheck to paycheck, but all of their bills are paid. Maybe they are not living paycheck to paycheck, but they basically zero out their account every month because they move it from checking to savings, whatever they have left over, because they're saving for something. They're saving for their house. They're saving for their children's education. They're moving in there, putting it in their 401k or IRA or their Roth IRA. What's going on with that, and how is it going to impact those people? Will those people have to change? Will they have to change the way they're doing business in their personal life just so UltraFICO doesn't lower their credit score? That might be the case, and I can't see that most people are going to be doing that. They're also going to be looking for with your overdraws. So if you have overdraft and you have overdraft protection on your checking account, they'll be looking at that as well. So they're going to be looking at the overdrafts. So like I said, it's 90 days back. So even though you haven't had an overdraft in 2 months, if you've had one within 90 days, that's going to impact your credit score negatively. It's going to bring down your credit score. So anybody that's out there living that way, they have overdrafts all the time, and then they just pay them or whatever. There's a lot of people that actually live life that way. For whatever reason, they have overdraft. They use their overdraft protection, as a mechanism for them. This is going to definitely hurt their credit scores. It's absolutely going to do that. So you got to make sure that you know this particular information. All right. So let me do this. Let me do a couple of shout outs right quick. And we're going to throw in the question of the day, and we'll finish out the show for you. All right. So I got to do happy birthday to Reagan Robinson. He celebrated his birthday last week. Reverend R.E. Robinson of St. John Missionary Baptist Church in Gary, Indiana. Happy birthday to you. Bobby Terrell, better known as Beto. That's his rap name, B-I-D-O, Beto. He celebrated birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Bobby. Yep, turned 39. Almost hit the 40 club, buddy. Yep, I told the whole world that you're 39 years old. So happy birthday to you, Bobby Terrell. Toria Holloway, she celebrated her birthday. Happy birthday to you, Toria, out there kicking it. I know I got to have some cousins or somebody that's going to be on here. My brother's already been on here, and my great niece, my cousin Nicole King, she celebrates her birthday on the 12th of this month. So happy birthday to you, Nicole. Maybe Nunu. Some of y'all know her as Nunu. And Richard King. Richard King celebrated his birthday as well. So happy birthday to you, Richard. That's my cousin as well, y'all. So let's do a question of the day. So why in the world am I at Ball State in the middle of Indiana on this cold? I'm telling you, it's cold. It dropped 20 degrees overnight. It dropped 20 degrees. So why am I here? So I came to actually speak, of course, on credit. I came to speak about personal finance and credit here at Ball State to the Men of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, the North Central Province. And so that was this morning. And during my presentation, there were a bunch of questions. And one of the really good questions was about your collections and what's going on with collections and what happens if you decide I'm going to pay a collection and then you stop paying and so what happens? So what happens to it? Does it start back over with the whole 7 years and all that kind of stuff? So it used to start back with the whole 7 years. Once you said, hey, I'm going to pay, made a payment, and then you stop paying, and so now you're stuck for another 7 years and have it on your credit report. The collection is supposed to be on there from the first date of delinquency for 7 years. 7 years and 180 days to be exact. That's when it's supposed to be on your credit report. So if you were late with XYZ company and then they sent you the collections, and then they sent you the collections for 1 year. So you were late a year ago, they sent you collections in 1 year. Now some collection agency has your credit account, and they're collecting on it for you. So it's been 1 year. Your date of delinquency started a year ago, so you got 6 more years for it to be on your credit. Say that collection agency, and this is how the question really came about, say that collection agency sold it to somebody else. In 3 more years, they sold it to somebody else. So now you're looking at it's 4 years old. Does that 7 years start again after it gets sold to that other person and stay on your credit report from 7 years after it goes to the new collection agency? No, it does not stay on your credit report for 7 additional years. It's not your issue necessarily that they sold it from one collection agency to another collection agency, or maybe even to a third collection agency. That's not your thing. That's not your issue. It started when your first date of delinquency way back in this particular scenario. I think say 5 years ago. So it will not stay on your credit report for yet another 7 years. So I want to thank the brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, for inviting me. It was an excellent presentation. Only was supposed to be an hour, lasted maybe about an hour and a half because all of the questions and whatnot. So I think it was really good. You guys can contact me. I will come speak to your groups. I will come to speak to your frat. I will come speak to your sorority. I will come speak to your church. I will come speak to your women's group. I come to a women's battered shelter. I don't care where it is and when it is. Let me know what it is, and we'll work something out. Contact me. Send me an email, 800@creditscoreman.com. That's 800@creditscoreman.com. Send me an email there. Or, of course, you can always give me a ring. That's 312-600-5855. So, look, the men of Kappa Alpha Psi, North Central Province, you all are officially a part of the 800 Credit Score Man Show family. Thank you very much, and please come back again. Send your questions in. If you got questions, you guys, send me your questions. You can hit that email. You can send them to me on Instagram. Last week, our question was from Instagram. I'm 800 Credit Score Man on Instagram. Facebook, you can find my page, 800 Credit Score Man, and of course on Twitter, where I always follow you back. I always follow you back on Twitter, and that's at Credit Score _Man on Twitter. All right, so let's jump back into this UltraFICO thing a little bit before we get out of here. So now that you know that this is coming, and knowledge is power, and it's not just knowledge is power. You can have that knowledge and not do anything with it. It's the actual implementation of that knowledge is true power for you. So make sure now you can prepare yourself. You know that you might need to save or keep $400 at least as a minimum in your banking accounts if you're going to be using UltraFICO. Like I said, and you might have missed this, it's volunteer as of now. As of now, you can volunteer to have this information submitted to the credit bureau for you. You can volunteer to have it. I would suggest, if you're not a person that's going to have $400 as a minimum, at least in your credit report, that you not volunteer to do this, because it's not going to help your credit score. It's only going to hurt your credit score. I would think, now they're going to be looking for volunteers. They're going to be asking you to sign up for this stuff. Maybe they'll be offering you a candy bar or a 1 month service free at Experian to do something with your credit or check your credit scores or what have you, or maybe even a year. Who knows what they're going to offer you to take this particular thing. Maybe they'll offer you something. I'm going to suggest, if it's not going to be beneficial for you, that you not take this offer and this deal. So I'm going to suggest that to you guys. If you have no problem, you always got money left over in your bank account. This is not going to hurt you. And then especially if you have a lower credit score at this point right now, then you go ahead and you volunteer for this. When Experian is pulled, and they pull this UltraFICO, if people get on board with UltraFICO, then it's going to only help you. Like I said before, they're anticipating you might get a 40-point bump in your credit score. That's huge. So let's say you're sitting at a 670 and it bumps you 40 points to a 710. That's good. The average right now is 704. It's the highest that it's ever been. The average credit score in America right now is 704. It's the highest that it's ever been. And in my conspiracy theory mind, that's the reason, or one of the reasons, they're coming out with newer scores, because even though they're making it seem like it's a positive, like it's something else to help the small man, the little person that might not be having, that might not have a great credit score, it also has the potential to be negative for them. And I'm not sure, when most of America does not have the ability to come up with $500 on the spot for an unexpected expense, that they're going to be holding on to $400 in their checking accounts. That's just what I'm thinking. At one point in time, it was said that Americans didn't have $1,000 saved for retirement. So if you don't have $1,000 saved for retirement, you're probably not holding on to $400 in your checking account. So that's my personal opinion on it. So what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? First things first, if you're going to sign up for this thing, we're going to use the system to your benefit. That's what you're supposed to do. So when you become a client of mine, if you become a client of the 800 credit score man, we take those 5 factors that create your credit score and we try to manipulate them in your best light. Doing it legal, doing it the right way. We do that to try to manipulate those things in the best light for you and your score. Same thing with this. The exact same thing should go on with this. So if you know they're going to go back looking 90 days, so before you go make a big purchase, whether it's a vehicle or you're buying a home, you should have money sitting around anyway if you're buying a home, right? Because you got to have that money saved up for your down payment. So you're going to make sure that you've got that $400 sitting in your account and you don't have any overdrafts, you haven't overdrawn, you haven't come close to having a zero balance or anything of that nature, no issues at all for that 90 days. That's how you're going to manipulate this system. So then, and you're going to keep that $400 in there. And you do that before any major purchase if they're going to be using UltraFICO. And sometimes you probably won't even know if this particular company is using UltraFICO or not. But you're going to keep it in there. That's going to raise your credit score per them. It could raise your credit score 40 points. A huge difference when you are looking at interest rates when you have a 710 versus a 640. 710 sits you in the good credit range. You're only 40 points from having excellent credit at that particular point. So you're going to use this in the best light for you. You're going to take $400, you're going to stick it in a savings account. You're going to designate that that's the savings account you want them to look at, or that's the checking account you want them to look at, or that's the money market account that you want them to look at, and then that should help you raise your score. So if you can scrounge up that $400 and you can put it in an account somewhere and leave it there, then that's going to be good. Now they say 400. I don't know how exact that is and all that stuff. I have no idea if that's going to be correct. Maybe they'll be looking at 500. Maybe they'll adjust it. I was just on Facebook prior to this, and I had posted, of course, about the show today. And Gloria Jackson said they're moving the goalposts. Absolutely, they're moving the goalposts. So now it's not just good enough for you to save and pay your bills on time and to do it timely all the time, but it also now they want you to save money at the same time. Now, ultimately, that's good for you if you got money saved, but that's not the point. That wasn't the point of this particular system before. Now they're moving the goalpost a little bit on us. So that's what's going to happen. So to manipulate it in your best light, what you're going to do is save that money, keep it in there. They're only going back 90 days. So for 3 months, I think you can handle that for 3 months. You're going to do that. And that's going to boost your credit score. Now, what happens then when you don't have that $400? That's my question. What happens when you don't have that $400? So you boost your credit score. You put that money in there. They took a look at it. Your credit score is up and it's high and it's good. Then what happens? Then what happens when you take that money out? What happens when you do go down to zero? What happens if you decide, I'm going to close that particular checking account because that bank is far away from my house or whatever it is? I'm moving. You save that money to buy the house. Now you're moving. What's going to happen then when they close that particular account on you? Is your score going to fall 40 points? Is your score going to fall just 20 points? Will it fall more than that? So that's the question that I have when it comes to UltraFICO. But rest assured, it's coming. It's coming to a place near you real soon, the beginning of the year. It'll be here. UltraFICO will be here. And again, only Experian. So only Experian is doing that. But if it's successful, I would say that they'll probably expand it to Equifax and TransUnion as well eventually if it's successful. If it actually helps people with their credit score, if that's the real intent behind this, then they will go ahead and expand it. There's no doubt in my mind that that's what will happen. And that'll be something, yet another factor that we need to look at when it comes to your credit score and how we do it and how we manipulate those things in your favor for you to get the best credit score possible at any point in time. So look, let me get some more shout outs before we get out of here today. George Banks, my old college roommate. Actually, I was just kicking it with another one of my college roommates today. George Banks celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday to you, Banks. Andrea Nichols, better known as Boo. She celebrated her birthday this week. Happy birthday to you. Curtis Whitaker, member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Happy birthday to you, Curtis.